What if I told you that 40% to 50% of what you do every single day isn't actually decided by you? That nearly half of your actions aren't conscious choices, but automatic behaviors running on autopilot? Imagine waking up tomorrow with the power to reprogram those automatic behaviors, to literally rewire your brain to work for you instead of against you, to make excellence inevitable rather than exhausting. Welcome to the science of habit transformation, and welcome back to EQ University today. We're diving deep into two revolutionary books that have changed millions of lives worldwide: Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit and James Clear's Atomic Habits. In the next 20 minutes, you'll discover why tiny changes can lead to remarkable results, how billion-dollar companies manipulate habit loops to sell products, and the 4-step framework that can transform literally any area of your life. So whether you're trying to lose weight, build a business, or simply become a better version of yourself, stay with me, because understanding the mechanics of habit formation might be the single most valuable skill you ever learn. Part 1. Understanding the habit. Let's begin with Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit and its central framework, the habit loop. And Duhigg discovered that every habit follows the same neurological pattern, a 3-part loop consisting of a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates your habit. It could be a time of day, an emotional state, a specific location, the presence of certain people, or an immediately preceding action. For example, you finish dinner, cue, which triggers you to check the fridge for dessert, routine, which gives you a sugar rush, reward. The routine is the behavior itself, the action you take almost automatically after encountering the cue. The reward is the payoff, what your brain actually craves. And this is crucial. Your brain doesn't necessarily crave the behavior itself, but rather the change in state it provides. Let me give you a personal example. For years, I had a habit of checking social media first thing in the morning. The cue was waking up and reaching for my phone. The routine was opening Instagram and scrolling mindlessly for 20-30 minutes. And the reward? It wasn't actually social media. It was the dopamine hit and the sensation of feeling connected. Once I understood this, I was able to replace the routine while keeping the same cue and reward. Now I wake up, reach for my phone, but instead open a meditation app for 10 minutes. I still get that feeling of connection, but now it's connection to myself rather than my social feed. This brings us to one of Duhigg's most powerful insights, the golden rule of habit change. You can't extinguish a bad habit, you can only replace it. The key is to keep the same cue and reward while changing the routine. But Duhigg goes deeper. He introduces the concept of keystone habits, habits that, when changed, cause positive chain reactions throughout your life. For example, studies show that regular exercise often becomes a keystone habit. When people start exercising regularly, they naturally begin making better food choices, become more productive at work, and even use their credit cards less frequently. One habit change triggers multiple positive outcomes. Part 2. The science of habit formation. So now we understand the structure of habits, but why are they so powerful? This is where the neuroscience comes in. Your brain is constantly looking for ways to save energy. It's trying to turn as many actions as possible into automatic routines, because automation conserves mental resources. This is actually a brilliant evolutionary adaptation. Without it, we'd be mentally exhausted just getting through our morning routine. Duhigg explains that habits are stored in the basal ganglia, a part of your brain associated with unconscious action. As behaviors become habitual, your brain activity actually shifts from the prefrontal cortex, which handles decision-making, to the basal ganglia. This is why habits feel automatic. They literally run on a different neural pathway than conscious decisions. But here's where it gets interesting. Once a habit is formed, it never truly disappears. The neural pathway remains in your brain forever. This explains why old habits are so easy to fall back into, even after years of dormancy. Think about riding a bike. Even if you haven't done it for decades, the habit pattern remains stored in your brain. You can hop on and ride away because that neural pathway is still there, just waiting to be activated. This permanence of habits has profound implications. It means that creating good habits isn't just about short-term behavior change. It's about literally rewiring your brain for long-term success. It also means that we must be incredibly cautious about which habits we allow to form, because they'll be with us for life. Duhigg also explores the concept of habit stacking, how one habit naturally leads to another, creating powerful chains of behavior that can either work for or against us. Consider the consumer buying process. Companies spend billions researching how to create habitual customers. Procter & Gamble, for instance, struck gold when they added a fresh scent to Febreze. Before adding the scent, the product wasn't selling despite its effectiveness. Why? Because there was no clear reward in the habit loop. Once they added a pleasant scent as the reward, sales skyrocketed to over $1 billion annually. This brings us to habits' relationship with willpower. Duhigg argues that willpower itself can be strengthened, like a muscle through regular exercise, but it's also a finite resource that depletes throughout the day. This explains why we're more likely to break diets in the evening. Our willpower reservoir has been drained. Part 3. From macro to micro, enter atomic habits. While Duhigg gives us the overarching framework for understanding habits, James Clear's Atomic Habits takes a more granular, practical approach to building better habits. Clear's central thesis is that tiny changes, when compounded over time, lead to remarkable results, hence the term atomic habits. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, small habits are the building blocks of remarkable achievements. Clear introduces what he calls the 1% rule. Improving by just 1% each day for a year leads to being 37 times better by the end of that year. Conversely, getting 1% worse each day for a year leaves you approaching zero. This demonstrates the astonishing power of compound interest applied to habits. Clear expands Duhigg's 3-part habit loop into a 4-part framework. 1 cue, make it obvious. 2 craving, make it attractive. Then response, make it easy. 4. Reward, make it satisfying. This framework gives us a practical roadmap for habit formation. Let's break it down. 1. Make it obvious. Clear behavior change starts with awareness. You can use implementation intentions, I will behavior at time and location, and habit stacking, after current habit, I will new habit, to create obvious cues. For example, instead of saying, I'll exercise more, you'd say, after I pour my morning coffee, I'll do 10 push-ups. The existing habit, pouring coffee, becomes the cue for the new habit, push-ups. Amishan side make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit-forming. Clear suggests using temptation bundling, pairing an action you want to do with an action you need to do. For instance, only allowing yourself to watch your favorite show while folding laundry, or only getting a massage after completing your weekly planning session. Anisa, make it easy. Human behavior follows the law of least effort. We naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. Clear recommends reducing friction for good habits and increasing friction for bad ones. Want to exercise more? Sleep in your workout clothes and place your shoes by the bed. Want to reduce social media usage? Delete the apps from your phone so you have to log in through a browser each time. Clear emphasizes the 2-minute rule. When forming a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Read 30 books this year becomes read 1 page tonight. The idea isn't to do just 1 page, it's to establish the ritual, knowing that once you start, momentum often carries you forward. And make it satisfying. We're more likely to repeat behaviors that feel good. In habit formation, the reward needs to be immediate, not delayed. This is why it's so hard to save money or lose weight. The rewards are too far in the future. Lear suggests habit tracking, marking an X on the calendar for each day you perform your habit, and never missing twice. If you miss 1 day, never miss 2 in a row. as ways to create immediate satisfaction. Part 4. Identity-based habits. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Now we arrive at what might be Clear's most powerful contribution, the concept of identity-based habits. Most people focus on outcome-based habits. I want to lose 20 pounds? Or process-based habits. I'll exercise 30 minutes daily. Clear argues that the most effective approach starts with identity. I want to become the type of person who exercises daily. There's a profound difference between saying, I'm trying to quit smoking, and I'm not a smoker. The first maintains your identity as a smoker attempting change. The second embraces a new identity entirely. Clear writes, the more you repeat a behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. Each time you make your bed, you embody the identity of a person who is organized. Each time you write a page, you embody the identity of a writer. This works in reverse too. Every action that contradicts your desired identity weakens that self-image. This is why consistency matters more than perfection in habit formation. Each consistent action is a vote for your new identity. Let me share a personal story. For years, I tried to become a person who exercises by focusing on results, setting goals like running a 5K or losing weight. I'd get motivated, start strong, then inevitably fall off after a few weeks. Everything changed when I shifted to identity-based thinking. Instead of focusing on outcomes, I simply asked, what would a fit person do in this situation? Suddenly, the choice became clear in each moment. A fit person would take the stairs instead of the elevator. A fit person would order the salad instead of the fries. I wasn't depriving myself, I was becoming someone new. This approach removes the internal debate that depletes willpower. You're no longer deciding whether to exercise. You're simply acting in alignment with who you are. Part 5. Environmental design and habit formation. Both authors emphasize the critical role of environment in habit formation, but they approach it differently. Duhigg highlights how external cues in our environment trigger habits automatically. He tells the story of how Target can predict a customer is pregnant based on subtle changes in shopping habits, often before the woman has told anyone else. Clear takes this further with his concept of choice architecture, the idea that we can design our environments to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. He suggests creating an environment of inevitability, a space where good habits don't require willpower because they're the path of least resistance. For example, if you want to eat healthier, don't rely on willpower to resist junk food. Instead, don't bring junk food into your home at all. If you want to reduce screen time before bed, don't rely on self-control. Charge your phone in another room. This approach acknowledges a fundamental truth about human psychology. We are more likely to be changed by our environment than we are to change our environment. By redesigning our surroundings, we can make good habits automatic rather than effortful. Clear provides practical strategies for environmental design. 1. The proximity principle. Make good habit cues visible and bad habit cues invisible. Place your vitamins on the counter and hide the cookies in a hard-to-reach cabinet. Emew the path of least resistance. Reduce friction for good habits and increase friction for bad ones. Want to practice guitar more? And keep it on a stand in your living room rather than in its case in the closet. Norms. One space, one use. Designate specific areas for specific activities. Don't work in your bedroom if you want quality sleep. Don't watch TV in your home office if you want to be productive. And Duhigg adds that organizations can leverage environment to create habits at scale. Starbucks, for instance, trains employees to handle stressful customer interactions by creating specific habit loops that trigger automatically under pressure. Alcoholics Anonymous creates an environment of social support and accountability that makes sobriety easier to maintain. The program works by replacing the routine, drinking, while keeping the same cues, stress, social pressure, and rewards, emotional relief, social bonding. And Part 6, applications and integration. So how do we integrate these powerful frameworks into our daily lives? Let me offer a synthesis of both approaches. And we start with awareness. Use Duhigg's habit loop to identify the cues, routines, and rewards driving your current behaviors. Keep a habit journal for a week, noting what triggers your habits and what rewards you're really seeking. Begin with tiny changes. Following Clear's approach, start with atomic habits so small you can't say no. Want to meditate? Start with just 1 minute daily. Want to write a book? Commit to 1 sentence per day. Focus on systems, not goals. Goals are about outcomes. Systems are about the processes that lead to outcomes. Rather than focusing on losing 30 pounds, a goal, focus on establishing a system of daily exercise and healthy eating. Engineer your environment. Remove friction for good habits and add friction for bad ones. Make your desired behaviors the path of least resistance. 5. Leverage social influence. And join communities where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. As Duhigg notes, social habits are among the most powerful forces in our lives. So identify keystone habits. Focus first on habits that create a cascade of positive changes, like regular exercise, proper sleep, or daily planning. 7. Practice habit stacking. Attach new habits to established ones to leverage existing neural pathways. And track your habits. What gets measured gets managed. Use a habit tracker to maintain your streak and create immediate satisfaction. And you expect failure and plan for it. Clear's concept of never miss twice acknowledges that perfection is impossible, but consistency over time is what matters. 10. Be patient. Habit formation takes time. Some research suggests anywhere from 18 to 254 days, depending on the complexity of the habit. Trust the process of small improvements compounded over time. Conclusion. We began this journey by learning that nearly half of our daily actions aren't conscious choices, but automatic habits. Now you understand not only why habits have such power over your life, but exactly how to reshape them. Remember that habits are not just about productivity or achievement. They're about becoming the person you want to be. As James Clear puts it, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. The beauty of understanding habits is that it gives you access to the fundamental architecture of human behavior. Once you see the patterns, you can redesign them. You can transform your life, not through massive willpower or motivation, but through tiny, consistent changes in your daily routines. Whether you're trying to get healthier, become more productive, build better relationships, or achieve financial independence, the principles we've covered from the power of habit and atomic habits provide the blueprint. So I'll leave you with this question. What is one tiny habit you could start tomorrow that, if performed consistently for a year, would transform your life? Remember, small habits don't just add up, they compound. And therein lies their remarkable power. If you found this overview valuable, hit the like button, subscribe for more deep dives into transformative books, and share your habit journey in the comments below. Until next time, remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit.